What if I told you that one of the most effective hiring guides ever created wasn't in some modern business book, but was spelled out perfectly in a single ancient verse? It's a framework that kind of cuts through all the noise of resumes and interviews to focus on two core human qualities. Today, we're going to unpack a really powerful piece of wisdom from the Quran's chapter Al-Qasas that gives us a timeless formula for sizing up someone's character and their capability. So let's get into it. So, to understand this, we have to start with a story that opens with a man at his absolute lowest. We're talking about the prophet Moses, on the run from the tyranny of Pharaoh. Just picture it. He's a fugitive, there's a death sentence on his head, and he shows up exhausted, broke, and totally alone in the foreign land of Midian. He knows no one, he has nothing. And yet, right there, in that moment of complete vulnerability, his actions are about to spark one of the most insightful job recommendations you'll ever hear. And here it is. This one verse is the absolute heart of our entire explainer. After seeing what Moses does, one of the daughters of a wise older man makes this really direct and confident proposal to her father. And notice what she says. She doesn't just say, he's a good person or he's helpful. No, she gives two very specific, very powerful qualifications, the strong and the trustworthy. This isn't just a nice compliment. It's a complete two-part formula for excellence. So you have to be wondering, right? What could a total stranger have possibly done to earn that kind of immediate, total confidence? Well, here's what happened. When Moses first got to the main well in Midian, it was just chaos. A big crowd of shepherds were all watering their flocks, pushing and shoving. And off to the side, two women were just standing back, waiting patiently with their animals because they couldn't get anywhere near the water. Moses saw this. He walked over to them and simply asked why they were waiting. They told him their father was an old man and they just couldn't compete with the other shepherds. So what does Moses do? Without another word, he walks over to this other, heavier well, the kind whose stone cover was so huge it usually took a whole group of strong guys to even budge. He lifts it all by himself, waters their entire flock for them, and then, get this, asks for absolutely nothing in return and just goes to sit in the shade. I mean, think about it. That single act of kindness, which he didn't have to do, revealed everything they needed to know. The woman's recommendation wasn't based on a long friendship or checking his references. It was based on pure observation of his character in action. Her sharp analysis nails the two pillars that make someone the perfect candidate for, well, pretty much any position of responsibility. So now, let's deconstruct exactly what strong and trustworthy really mean in this context, because it's profound. So on one side you have Al-Qawi, the strong. This is all about capability, competence, the ability to get the job done. And on the other side, you've got Al-Amin, the trustworthy. This is about character, integrity, the kind of person they are. The verse presents them as this inseparable pair, basically telling us that for someone to be truly effective and reliable, you absolutely have to have both. One without the other, well, that's just a recipe for failure. Now, when you hear the story of Moses lifting that giant stone, it's pretty natural to immediately think of physical power, right? Brawn. But the term al-Qawi is so much richer and bigger than that. It's not just about brute force. It's about a kind of holistic fitness for whatever role is at hand. So here's the key takeaway. Strength is completely relative to the task. The strength you need to be a shepherd is totally different from the strength of an engineer or a teacher, right? Al-Qawi just means having the specific set of skills, the right knowledge, and the practical ability to get a job done successfully. In a nutshell, it just means competence. And this is where the idea really opens up. Sure, Moses showed physical vigor, no doubt. But his strength also included the know-how to handle livestock, the decisiveness to step in when he saw something wasn't right, and that spiritual strength of character that made him help people without wanting anything back. See? It's a whole picture of capability. Okay, so being capable and skilled is one half of the puzzle, but it's only half. I mean, you can hire the most talented person in the world, but if you can't trust them, that very strength can actually become a huge liability. And that brings us to the second pillar. Al-Amin, which completes the formula for the perfect hire. Al-Amin, the trustworthy. This right here, this is the bedrock of a person's character. It means that this person's word is gold. They aren't going to cut corners when nobody's looking, they won't betray a secret, and they won't use their power for their own selfish gain. It's the essential quality that makes sure all of their strength is used for good. So how did Moses prove this so fast? Well, after he helped at the well, the father of the two women invited him over. One of the daughters was sent to get him. And as they walked, Moses, a total stranger in a new place, showed this incredible respect. He asked her to walk behind him and just direct him by tossing little stones to show him the path. Why? So that he wouldn't be forced to stare at her while she walked ahead of him. That small, deliberate act was a huge signal of his integrity. Here was a man who guarded his gaze and acted with honor, proving he could be trusted with people, not just with property. And this just perfectly sums up the whole idea, right? Strength without trustworthiness is just plain dangerous. It leads to corruption, to people getting taken advantage of. And on the flip side, trustworthiness without strength is just ineffective. It leads to incompetence and failure. The absolute genius of this ancient formula is that it insists on both. You need the person who can do the job and the person you can trust to do it right. But this whole principle goes way beyond just a good tip for hiring managers. In Islamic theology, these two exact qualities, how we use our strength and whether we are worthy of trust, are actually at the very center of our purpose here on earth. They form the basis of our ultimate accountability. So, tradition tells us that our entire human experience, with all its ups and downs and complexities, will all be distilled down into two fundamental questions. And these questions aren't about your job title or how much money you made. They're about the very essence of how you chose to live. The first question is, what did you worship? This is the ultimate test of our trustworthiness. Where did you place your ultimate loyalty? What was the central truth you built your life around? This is about the amana, that sacred trust given to our heart and soul. It's the ultimate question of integrity. And the second question is, what answer did you give to the messengers? Or, in other words, when guidance and truth were presented to you, what did you do with it? How did you use your God-given abilities, your energy, your mind, your skills to actually act on that guidance? This is the ultimate test of your strength, your capability to do good. So do you see how it all connects? The two qualities that the woman at the well spotted, al-qawi and al-amin, strong and trustworthy, they aren't just for a job application. They're the macro themes of our entire existence. Our whole life, in a way, becomes this extended interview, an assessment of our strength and our trustworthiness on a cosmic scale. Which leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. In our modern world, which is filled with personality tests and algorithms screening candidates and complex KPIs, have we maybe overcomplicated the art of judging character? Does true, lasting success in our jobs, in our relationships, and in our lives still just boil down to this simple, profound ancient formula? Being strong in what you do and trustworthy in who you are.